Just uttering the name Mega Man can get this guy hot under the collar. Here's a look at the brand new Jada toys. Mega Man, Fireman. From the groundbreaking video game Mega Man comes the iconic robot character action figures in 1/12 scale by Jada Toys. Fireman comes equipped with alternate heads, hands, and Firestorm accessories with stand. The first robot has the power to melt any object in his path. The packaging also includes nostalgic details from the original video game. Don't let this hot-headed robot master get left out in the rain. Add some heat to your collection today. Careful, Mega Man, this robot master might be too hot to handle. Just before, of course, we get a closer look at the new Mega Man Fireman, let me send a big thank you, if I can, to the folks over at Jada Toys that did provide this sample we could have a look at. Mega Man, Fireman, and the soon-to-look-at Iceman are all available online for $19.99 a piece, which, again, I can't believe the prices are as good as they are. Now, when it comes to displaying Fireman, especially when it comes to measuring him, I'm including the flame that's on the end of his head, but that's something that can be removable. With that in mind, though, Fireman's actually standing about 5.5 inches in height, or the figure is 13.5 centimeters tall. Come to think of it, it's actually ironic that we're looking at Fireman before Iceman, because if you wanted to beat the boss battle in proper order, you really did want to beat Iceman first and then use the Ice Slasher to defeat Fireman after. Either way, though, we did have a look at least one figure already. Obviously, being that this is the Mega Man line, we wanted to look at the Blue Bomber first. Comparing the two, Fireman is considerably taller. It also helps as well that he's got a flame coming out the top of his head. Fireman's accessory count is about the same as Mega Man's, although instead of having swappable hands, he has flame effects that go on the ends of his forearms. The figure also comes included, like with Mega Man, a clear acrylic display stand that has the adjustable neck. It adjusts in two places. As you can see, there's the knuckle joints right there. And this actually does come in handy when it comes to him actually using his flame effect. The flame effect actually is one thing that in the game, instead of it looking like this, because you would think that it would be fired off this way, it actually comes more like sweeping waves of fire. And this actually attaches, there's a hole on the bottom of it, if I face it in the right way, there's a hole on the bottom of it that then plugs onto the top there of the display stand. Now, depending, of course, on how you want to have the figure displayed, you likely won't have it at completely straight like this. So you may want to just bend this down just a little bit. And then he would have, again, a series of these. We don't have, obviously, more than one, but I would almost be tempted to get another Fireman. Not only the fact that I could have the figure displayed with the two different head sculpts, but also as well that I could have two display stands with the sweeping wave effects that he has in the game. The thing I like also about the figure is that he comes included with these flame effects. Now, these are actually ones that attach with universally sized ball pegs. The neat thing, though, about them is not only do they attach on the ends of his forearms, but you could also technically use them as well for his alternate head sculpts. Now, first of all, you'll see on the ends of his arms here, Fireman does have these hexagonal holes. You just take the flame effects and just plug them in place. Do the exact same thing on the other side here as well. And what you could also do, too, is see how he has a flame effect here on the top? You could detach this, and this also uses the exact same size peg. I couldn't be any more frustrated than when companies decide that they want to use holes of different sizes. So, like, if you wanted to, you couldn't change the things around. Fireman, though, has the benefit. You can see, like, with the flame being slightly different from one another, if you wanted to have kind of more of the pointed flame, that could actually detach, and that could just plug onto the top of his head as well. Now, you could also use this one. This is the one that kind of, again, has the flame kind of be curled back like this. The only downside to this one is with it being more closer, the peg doesn't have as much chance to lift. So, like, if you're plugging it in place, it sure plugs into the end of Fireman's head, which kind of gives him this neat flaming, like, mohawk effect. Although it just can't plug it in all the way, obviously, because the peg, obviously this is going to be the part that's going to get in the way of things. I kind of actually like it looking like this. And then, of course, you can just take the other flame effects. Those will just plug on the ends of his forearms. To look at a Fireman here kind of does remind me of one thing with Mega Man. And we're just going to bring back in the figure here for a second. I did, when we had a look at Mega Man, obviously point out the fact that his Mega Buster did actually come with a blast effect, which just happened to have over here. But there was no way to actually attach this onto his arm. I kind of wish in a way that they could have included a second Mega Buster, for example, that would have had a hole on the end of it, that you could, in fact, take the blast effect and actually attach it onto the end of his arm. And go with that same mentality. Had it been a universally sized hole, they could have also then used it, made it available so you could swap it out with the other mega bosses on the ends of the levels. So, like, for example, even though Mega Man obviously would have changed the coloring of his suit, for the stand-in at least, you could then take, say, Fireman's attachments, for example, and attach them onto the Mega Buster. Not the case, unfortunately, here. The figure also does come included with a swappable head sculpt. I'm just going to put the flame effect right over there. Actually, you know what? We'll just bring it up a little bit because it does make things a little bit side heavy here. He does also come with this alternate head sculpt here. And you may look at this and say that you can't see quite really what the difference is. Well, if you look at his eyes, see how his eyes are a little bit higher up to his head. Kind of looks like he's a little bit more ticked off. This is kind of more just a neutral expression. Obviously, and we haven't yet looked at Iceman. I kind of like more the idea of angrier bosses on the ends of these. So, again, we're just to change these out. Very similar, in fact, to Mega Man. You're just going to take the head here and just remove it from the ball joint. I noticed, though, with Fireman's that his neck came off a couple of times as well. So you may want to just kind of hold it on the end of the neck like this, then take the alternate head sculpt that you want to use, plug it on top like that. And then because, again, like obviously it's using the exact same hole, you could use any one of the effects. Again, I kind of like this one just because it kind of gives him the look of a fiery mohawk, although it just doesn't plug in place just as well. Now, for the rest of the figure's body, it's very similar, in fact, to actually Mega Man. So if you look at Mega Man's here, I would imagine, though, looking at them, that they're probably using the exact same boots. Wouldn't that be a safe assumption to make? They kind of actually look like eggs. But they almost look like they are using, I'm certain that they are actually using the same lower legs. The only thing, obviously, is that they have given them different lower knees because the knees are painted in there and sculpted, actually, in a nice kind of tomato red. The tomato-colored red actually carries also over to his body. There are a few little areas here, for example, like his arms don't look as quite the same color as his torso, but it's still pretty close. Very nicely painted. Again, you get the head sculpt there on the side. I love the way they've actually painted a little. Well, obviously they painted the yellow. That's not the thing that's most exciting to me. But I mean, looking at it, he kind of looks like a smokestack or like the exhaust end of a car. One of my favorite characters actually was Heatman. Heatman was actually from Mega Man 2. Of the flame bosses, I would actually choose Heatman over Fireman myself. But obviously, if we are starting things off with Mega Man 1, you'd have to include the flame boss from that level. So that's probably why we're getting Heatman first. Colors overall, like I said, are pretty good. I mean, I don't see any real paint problems. I love the fact that they've actually added the little, I don't know if that is just his energy bar. I'd have to go back and look at the game again, but he has like a little energy bar stat there on the back of his head and on the back of his body there as well. Again, it's a really nicely painted figure. I don't really have any paint problem issues at all with the figure itself. Now, for his articulation, it's going to be exactly the same as Mega Man. So his head's going to be on a ball joint, first of all. As you've already noticed, though, the figure does also have a secondary ball joint at the base of his neck. So really, between the two, they work hand in hand like a tag team. Just tagging in the guy. Okay, you're up next, lower half of the neck. Between the two, like I said, the head does rotate quite easily. Now, the arms rotate all the way around. I thought that the shoulders may have been something that would have been an issue, but what ended up being the case is that they attach the shoulders to the tops of his arms. So when you are rotating, you're technically rotating as well the shoulders. Smart, they decided to do it that way and not actually have the shoulders here, where then you wouldn't be able to move the arms forward and back. With the arms having now these on the end of their forearms, I did notice like the arms are a little on the harder side to kind of get him to hold. Like if you want to have the arms straight up like this, I noticed already like this arm is a little on the looser side. It doesn't seem to be yet the case that the arms are drooping. At least not yet. But obviously this is just going to be a little bit heavier because they're using a translucent, like this orangey plastic, which again looks fantastic on the figure. But he does have an elbow bend, still pretty much the same as Mega Man. This also does rotate back and forth. The upper torso is going to be on a ball joint. The lower torso is also on a ball joint. I may have also mentioned in the review of Mega Man that it was a swivel joint, but it is actually a ball joint. There's one here and then one at the base of his abdomen. Legs do split out. They're on ball joints also. There's a little swivel at the top of the thigh. Forward and back movement on the legs. There's a hinge, only a single hinge on the knee. Lower leg does rotate. And again, with the egg feet that he has, this rocks back and forth and an up and down motion there as well. Yeah, Fireman looks good. Really like the look of Fireman. Still, again, prefer, if I had the choice, I probably would have chose Heatman just because Heatman looks like a big giant Zippo lighter. And again, to bring back in Mega Man so you guys can see the differences of sizes. Heatman, I like the idea. I think it was smart, first of all, that Jada Toys decided to have like all of these parts that attach onto Fireman's body in various different areas are all universally sized. So if you, again, wanted to have any one of these effects, and I like that they also, with each of the flame effects, they're different from one another. So it's not like they use the exact same ones for his arms, for example, as they did for the head. Again, you can mix and match these if you wanted to. At the end of it, I kind of like the idea of him having the fire mohawk myself. But again, with the benefit of them using the exact same size pegs means that you can change them out exactly the way you want to have Fireman displayed on your shelf. I'm just looking at Fireman here, and then I keep looking back at Mega Man, and it seems to be the case that Jada Toys has reused the tops of the arms where it attached to the shoulders, the top of the torso, the abdomen area, the trunks, the tops of the thighs, and those egg-shaped feet. Which, again, like, you can't fault any company for wanting to get the most out of their molds. If it means that we do get ourselves a Mega Man and a Fireman using similar elements to them, then again, that's not a bad thing at all. Looking also at Iceman that we will be looking at in the upcoming reviews. It seems to be the case, again, that they're probably using some of the molds as much as they can get out of it, although Iceman has a more portlier belly, so I don't think they're probably using the exact same torso section. The figure is, again, for $19.99, I still can't believe that Jada Toys includes as many accessories as they do. For a $20 figure, you would still think that you would get yourself probably a fireman, maybe a couple of swappable arms, or in this case, swappable fire effects. You still get the swappable fire effects, but you also get as well, like with Mega Man, the adjustable neck display stand that also houses that fiery wave that he uses for his attack. The thing I also really like about this figure, as mentioned in this review, is that they decided as well to use universally sized pegs so that you don't feel married to the idea that he has to have always the same ones attached on the ends of his arms and he has to use the same one on the top of his head. There's some neat aspects of being able to customize the way that you want to display Fireman. I'm opting myself the fiery mohawk, but you may not want to do that. You can also, like I said, change it out with the ones that he has on the ends of his arms. Now, we already have looked at Mega Man. We are just wrapping up things right now with Fireman. And in the upcoming review, we're also going to be looking at Iceman. Those seem to be, at least of what we're gotten with Mega Man figures, those are the only 3 figures that Jada Toys has released so far. I already mentioned we are going to be getting a Elect Man, a Bomb Man, a Cut Man, and a Guts Man. Those are all already advertised at the bottom of the packaging. I'm not just guessing. I'm not just looking at a crystal ball. They're clearly advertised on the bottom of the packaging, so we're probably going to be getting those figures as part of a second wave. What do you guys think of Fireman? Let me know down below in the comments section. And of the mega boss that Mega Man has to obviously battle at the end of the levels, who's your favorite? Let me know down below in the comments section. You know, I had already mentioned Heatman. Heatman's pretty high on my list. I mean, obviously Fireman was the OG. He's the original fire wielder. But again, you can't beat a big giant Zippo lighter. Fireman, I would say, is within the top 5. Who's your favorite, though, big boss, last level boss from the Mega Man series? It doesn't even have to be Mega Man 1. It doesn't have to even be the first 3 Mega Mans. Maybe one of your favorite final bosses is actually at the very end of the Mega Man franchise. But who's your favorite? Let me know down below in the comments section. In the meantime, I'd like to again thank the folks over at Jada Toys that did provide the sample of the Fireman that we've wrapped up the review of in this video, the earlier looked at Mega Man, and the soon-to-be looked at Iceman. They were all nice enough to provide samples we could have a look at. Of course, as always, guys, if you guys enjoyed this video, want to throw it a like. If you guys are loving the content you guys are seeing and want to stick around for the reviews of Iceman, then definitely make sure, if you haven't already, that you hit that subscribe button down below and that you're turning on the bell notification. As always, guys, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.